the San Francisco 49ers just got fantastic news about one of their key players. I can't wait to tell you about it in just a moment. But the 49ers, as you know, went in to Tampa Bay, and they got a very big, dirty win that they needed to do that proved a point thanks to guys like this making plays like this. Out of the pocket, look at that throw. In the movement. Is that Patrick Mahomes? No, it's not. It's Brock Purdy throwing to George Kittle. A toe tap. I mean, it was absolutely perfect. What a great play. And, we could talk about that play. We will talk about that play and many other plays in this video today. First, if you're new here, I'm Nate, and I love talking about the 49ers, which is why I'm here right now and why you clicked this video most likely. Please consider a like and sub if you haven't yet. I do appreciate it. The 49ers won it dirty. And that's the most important overarching thing, but that's not the news you probably clicked this video for. The news you clicked this video for is they figured out their X-Man, Jawan Jennings. I'm going to come back to that later in the video, but first, we've got other really big things to break down, so let's just jump straight into it. Number one, when you win a tough game on the road against a very good offense in a time in which you have found multiple ways to lose a game. The 49ers have been plagued this season with games like today where they did not end in a W, it ended in an L. And the deal was the 49ers go in there, they missed 3 field goals. 3 field goals. And I'm like, this is not our year. This isn't it. This is just not our year, guys. We just need to let it go. It's over. It's done. That's how I felt because I'm just so tired of seeing special teams completely ruin good moments in football games. And momentum's a real thing. I'm not going to act like it's not. And when guys are missing field goals, it gives that team new life. And it gave them new life time and time and time again. And, to have that happen, to have special teams have a muff punt, which was 100% on Jarrell Luter Jr., like a complete mistake there. You don't do that. He called for the fair catch, you get out of the way, and you let it happen. Like it's just done. It's over. If the other player runs into him, then fine. They get a penalty, and it works to our advantage. Not what happened, of course, and that muff punt was a big, big problem that got them back in that game. Again, a now 4th situation where you're giving that team new life. Then on top of that, the defense goes out there who overall played a decent game. Not a great game. Not a horrible game. They had some good drives and some bad drives. And the bad drive, the worst one, was drive number, 7. Could not stop the run. Like, just for nothing. Wait, that actually wasn't the worst one. That one was pretty bad, though. That one, not stopping the run. But then on top of that, the other drive, which must have been drive number 10 for them, was that? Yeah, it really was. It was the very end of the game there where they went out there and the 49ers shot themselves in the foot over and over and over. Got them into a really good situation. Personal foul, grabbing the face mask. Starting to get into a better situation. Personal foul, face mask. I mean, it happened 3 personal fouls on one drive. That is outrageous. You've given them like 45 yards in the one drive. That's crazy. Just from the defense. Now, on top of all of that, okay, all that negative stuff, field goals, muff punt, defense giving up multiple fouls, defense or personal fouls, defense going out there and not being able to stop the run on a really big, long drive that just felt like they could do anything that they wanted. And then they find a way to win. Hats off 49ers, because that's all we're asking for. Every fan just wants to see that their team, no one's expecting perfection, just wants to see that when it gets down and dirty, when the game's on the line, you find a way to win. That's all that the Kansas City Chiefs have done. They have not been an incredible team this season, but they have found ways to win, and so you end up at being 9-0 despite having really deserved to lose multiple games in that run. Today, not excluded. Now, let's get into what first Kyle Shanahan had to say, because I think this is pretty fascinating. Give this a listen after the game.
I knew we were going to be ready to go today. I knew we'd be ready to play. All right. But damn, I'm so glad we were ready to battle, man. Brock Kittle, big time second and goal from the 10. Defense, hey, you guys battled your ass off all day. That final drive, guys, to still overcome and not let them in the end zone when everything was breaking. All right, that's how you battle. That's a character drive. And then
That's a classic bend don't break, right? Ready to battle. The 49ers were ready to battle. Then let's hear what he had to say about Jake Moody.
And finally, all right, where's Mooney? Moody. Hey, that's a hell of a job, dude. All right, hey, listen. Hey. All right, you battle to come back, and if you want practice for mental strength, it's a hell of a job setting yourself up for that last rep. All right, because there was no more pressure on anyone than that dude, and he kicked it right in the middle. Respect, dude. All right?
You know, Tabor Pepper was said basically the same thing, that of all of the moments to get real mental training, the best happens on the field, and you have games like that where you've missed 3 field goals. It is not your day. It's anything but your day, and you find a way to have the mental capacity to go and hit a 44, I think it was a 44-yarder. Yep, a 44-yard field goal as a game winner. I'll also say, by the way, I had it in my notes long before I knew what was going to happen, of course. He also, one of the field goals he made was tight and almost missed. I mean, he was just off today. But he went there when it mattered, and he got that one. Fred Warner, another very interesting point of view after the game. Give this a listen.
This was a character game all the way through. And we knew that they were going to fight. They were going to battle. You know, we watched that game on Monday night, them going into Kansas City after everybody said they didn't have a shot on offense, losing their top 2 receivers. And they have a heck of an offense. They have a heck of a scheme, players to run the scheme. And the same was true today. I think the first half we stood up and played great defense. In the second half, we came up short in some of those areas. But like I said, to hold them at the very end to a field goal to give our offense a chance to go down and win the game was about as grimy as it's going to get.
I love that take. Absolutely love it. Go in there. It's a character game. Thank you, Fred, for that. I think it's important for us to remember, games are going to look ugly. If you want this team to get its swagger back, you want this team to get that positive vibe, that energy, that confidence, it's going to come from games like this. It's winning these ugly games. That's how you then figure out, okay, when things all start firing in all cylinders, we're a heck of a team. And that's what they're going to keep going on. I love also, by the way, one of my favorite things about winning dirty games is you have a lot to work on. So you go back to the practice field, you feel really good about getting the W, and you also look at all of the things that you did wrong and you can learn from them. That's like the best case scenario. This is the time of the season you want to be winning dirty games, tough games, grinding games out, because then when you get toward the playoffs, you started to solve some of those problems ideally, and you're starting to get a real head of steam going. That's the hope, right? Now, that was just the first thing. The first big victory to me was winning a tough game, winning a dirty game that you had found many ways to lose, and you found a way to figure it out in the end. The defense came up big when it mattered, and the offense came up big when it mattered, and that's the thing you need. And the special teams, to give some credit, came up big when it mattered at the very end of the game. Would have loved to have that stuff happen earlier, but whatever. That is what it is. Now, the second thing that I'm super stoked about, and we're going to get to Juwan Jennings in a little bit as well, and what Kyle Shanahan said about Juwan Jennings, so stick around for that if you're still watching this video. Stick around for that. But first, we have to just note today, number 2, big great thing that we saw today, we had some playmakers today, guys. We had some playmakers out there today. It seemed like everybody was finding a way to make a big play when it mattered. Not when it mattered. Everyone was finding a way to make a big play at some point. Yeah, Jacob Cowing on special teams, right after that muff punt, the next punt return, he goes and he takes one, like a good 30 yards or something like that. It was a big punt return, which set us up in really good field position, which ended up being really important for a field goal miss, I think, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Was that the one? Hold on. Huge. Cowing. That was drive 8 for the defense. Yeah, he missed the 44-yard field goal there. Bummer. Okay, moving on, though. Let's talk about the playmaking, right? So that was a good play from Jacob Cowing. Then you had Brock Purdy making some plays. We'll talk about him in a second. You had Juwan Jennings making a couple big plays. Felt like third and Juwan was back, right? Then you had Christian McCaffrey had a couple great plays. Deebo had a couple great plays. One really great play. He had a couple that weren't great, but we'll talk about that as well. George Kittle had a couple really great plays. One of them where just the yards after the catch was outrageous, and the other one, which was the toe tap, that was just incredible. You already saw that. So, yeah, tons of great things there. So let's get to the Brock Purdy stat line real quick. This is from David Lombardi, by the way. Brock Purdy, 25-36, 353 yards, 119.3 rating, led the fourth quarter comeback and game-winning first-minute drive when all was failing for the 49ers on the road. Elite quarterback. Love it. Love the take. Now let's look at the box score real fast. Oh, there you go. Box score real fast. So already saw that stat on Brock Purdy. Christian McCaffrey, not amazing in the running game today. Nobody was really running the ball super well today. It felt like you needed like a Jordan Mason bell cow or an Isaac Guerrero bell cow kind of situation to play out. But you know what? The 49ers found a way to get it done regardless of a kind of rough run game today. They did okay in terms of, total yardage. You'd be like, we had 75 yards on the ground. That's like, yeah, it's not good. It was not good. It wasn't great, okay? It just wasn't. Moving on from that, we had a couple one-off plays or whatever, but Deebo Samuel was not, I was not confident with him in the backfield. I haven't been this season, to be honest with you. Pretty much at all this season, been confident in the backfield. They try to do little jet sweeps and things like that, and sometimes they work out okay, but just didn't feel, I don't really like the way that he's seeing holes, and that's just my personal take. You can let me know what you think in the comments, of course. I felt like Jordan Mason and Isaac Guerrero only getting one a pop. I was a little disappointed in that, to be honest with you. I kind of would like to see them get a few more runs in there. As you know, you're not surprised by that. By the way, while we're talking numbers, so Christian McCaffrey, 13 carries. Christian McCaffrey, 6 receptions, 7 targets. So that's 13 carries. That's 7. That's 20. What did we say before the game started? 20 would be ideal. There you go. You got your 20. So Christian McCaffrey was slightly more restrained, let's say. One of the times he came off and you could see him kind of visibly being a little upset. But while we're talking about playmakers, okay, so Deebo is a playmaker. Christian McCaffrey was a playmaker. Brock Purdy at times was a playmaker as well. Both of his feet, one of them was really big on his feet. And then, of course, in the air. And then Juwan Jennings, 7 receptions for 93 yards, 30-yard long. That was a crazy one where you just there's something about this team that refuses to be tackled. And I know that sounds dumb because we're we're watching football. Every player refuses to be tackled. But it's different, man. What Deebo and Juwan Jennings and George Kittle did today, where you think oh yeah, he's going down. And then it's 15, 20 yards more. That's just awesome. That's special. We got to remember how special it is. Ricky Pearsall. Oh, we haven't even talked about Ricky Pearsall. Talking about making plays. Got his first touchdown on a huge play. Huge play. Running through the middle. It was awesome, man. That was a great play. Great from him, too, to kind of do a little quarter stutter step kind of thing and then take it to the house. That was fantastic. Christian McCaffrey in the air, six receptions for 68 yards. That was fantastic. We already talked about Deebo Samuel in the air. Had a couple nice ones there. George Kittle. When you look at all of these guys and you're 7 for 93, 4 for 73, 6 for 68, 5 for 62, and 3 for 57. These are big catches. Some of them were, air yards, and some of them weren't. And I got to give some credit where credit is due there. Okay. Of course, Jacob Cowing had the fumble. Not really his fault. It's not his fault at all. Brock Purdy had a fumble. That was kind of his fault, but I also would be on the offensive line on that situation because they had some rough moments in this game for sure. Juwan Jennings, of course, saving us on that one. That was huge. And everyone would probably throat and mouth when Brock Purdy dives for the ball and gets hit by another player. That was kind of terrifying. But on the defensive side of the ball, Fred Warner had a really good game, I felt. I felt like he had and I haven't watched it back or anything, but I felt like he had a really good game. Devondre Campbell had a pretty good game as well. Had some really good moments for sure. Deommodore Lenoir, he's been a staple this season. Malik Mustafa played pretty well. Ronaldo Green had one big miss, but then he had one massive pass breakup. So that was awesome from him. Isaac Yiadom, Nick Bosa, not super stoked about a lot of the things that we saw there, but got to give Bosa credit for the one big sack that he did get. Give credit to Leonard Floyd for the big sack he got as well. So there were some good things, but I just felt like there were times where outside containment was just, we'll run the ball that way. Who cares if Nick Bosa's there? He's not going to be a factor. There were some times where I felt like they were just playing with Nick Bosa. Even when Tristan Wirfs goes down, you're like, okay, For the rest of the game, I'm kind of expecting that Nick Bosa is going to have it with this left tackle. And I didn't really feel like he was that much of a threat. And I know it's fine margins, but I felt a little disappointed by it. All of that being said, let's take a quick look over here because this really surprised me. 5 and 11 for third down. For some reason, I felt like there's a core of the game, like from the second drive to third drive, where I felt like we were converting on crazy third downs that we had no business converting on, all these third and longs and stuff. So I was a little surprised, actually, to see that we were below 500 in the third down. It felt like we were doing okay in third downs, but apparently not. So the third down woes continue, statistically speaking, of course. And then when you get to the red zone, I got to scroll down to that. 1 for 3 in the red zone, guys. Like, I'm just not stoked. I was watching the game, and there's some nice comments inside my household about a field goal that one that we did make. And I'm like, no, we're in the red zone. We have to finish that. We've got Christian McCaffrey back. We've got a weapon back. They were stuffing the run pretty well today. They were stopping. Credit to the Buccaneers defense for stuffing the run. They did a pretty good job of that, and I think they knew that's where that ground game, everything flows out of that. And so they were trying to shut that down. The 49ers found a way. Still one time of possession, despite the fact that special teams mess up gave them an extra drive. So give some credit there to the 49ers for finding a way to extend some of those drives. Had some great 3-and-outs on the defense. I'll give some credit for that too. The defense did it. They had a couple 3-and-outs that felt like massive at the time. At the time, it felt massive. And they were huge 3-and-outs. On the penalties, that's a huge issue, guys. That's a real problem. 49ers got to get that under control. That is ridiculous. And it feels like just a couple weeks ago we were having the same exact conversation. But I believe the difference was a loss. And it's like we cannot shoot ourselves in the foot like that. It's ridiculous. All right. Let's move on because we have one more thing I wanted to talk about, which was what Kyle Shanahan said about Jauan Jennings. It was his first time ever playing exposition, which he'll be doing the rest of the year. So there you go, folks. I opened up the show saying this, and I'll bring it back up. The San Francisco 49ers have their X-Man. His name is Jauan Jennings, and he was absolutely incredible today. Not perfect. Neither was Brandon Aiyuk before he got injured. So no one's expecting Jauan Jennings to go out there and get 3 touchdowns or whatever. But you have a guy that is your go-to guy. And I was laughing about it on that one really big third and long that he got, the first really big one that he got. And I was laughing about it with my wife. Everyone knows he's third and Jauan. Everyone calls him that. The commentators know he's third and Jauan. Everybody knows. It's no secret. We saw what happened last season. He's third and Jauan. And he had, one of his best games. His best game last season was probably, or one of his best games for sure, was the Super Bowl. And he had a great performance in the Super Bowl. Had some great moments in the Super Bowl. Was really key in moments when it seemed like everybody else was kind of disappearing. So, yeah, absolutely love that. Fantastic. Jauan Jennings is getting the recognition he deserves. And yet, despite everybody knowing that about him, he still got it done. He's still got the third and Jauan. He's still third and Jauan. I love it. On top of that, just some other thoughts I'll throw out there. Massive credit, game ball to Ricky Pearsall for getting his first TD. Great play, great situation. Worked for it. I'm sure he felt really good there. Had some good third and longs. I'll give credit to that. I thought for sure that would mean we'd have better third down conversion rates, but apparently not when it's all said and done. So I have to watch that back and pay closer attention there. Penalties an issue. Got to stop that. Stopping the run was an issue. Got to figure that out. If they can't figure that out, that's going to be a real problem. So I don't know what happened on that drive there. I don't know if it was just I don't know. I don't know what it was, to be honest with you. I don't know. But overall, I'm stoked the 49ers get the win. They're 5-4, which is what at the end of the day what you needed. You had to walk out of there with a W. I would have liked it to be better, but I'm going to take a W. We're going to lick our wounds. We're going to be happy for a little while, and then we can talk about some of the bad things later on in the week. The 49ers had some good news today, lots of good news today. I'm here for it. If you're still watching this right now, comment below legend status because you're a legend. My goodness, let's go. What a time to be alive.